Good evening to you all. Today we're talking about the 8th episode from Surah Yunus, titled, He said, Your prayer has been answered. And Pharaoh said, Bring me every learned magician. The meaning is that. And Pharaoh said, Fetch for me every skilled magician, well versed in the arts of magic. Source: Safwat al-Tafasir by al-Sabuni. The question here is, it says learned magician. Okay, in verse 2, the magician is described as clear. Is it possible to use the attributes learned and clear to describe a magician? The point to note here is that it says, and Pharaoh said, meaning the statement is from Pharaoh, and the narration is from God. So these are Pharaoh's words, not God's. So when the magicians came, Moses said to them, Throw whatever you are going to throw. The meaning here is, when the magicians arrived, Moses said to them, Throw whatever you are going to throw from your ropes and sticks. Go ahead, start and do whatever tricks you want to perform. The source is Safwat al-Tafasir by al-Sabuni. So when they threw, Moses said, What you have brought is magic. God will nullify it. God does not set right the work of the corrupt. The meaning here is that Moses is telling the magicians, What you have done, this act of yours, this is magic. What you have done is exactly what you accused me of. God will wipe out this magic and show its falsehood to the people. The source is the same, Safwat al-Tafasir by al-Sabuni. The question here is, what is the wisdom behind repeating God twice in the verse? The point being made here is that Moses said. So, God is quoting Moses' words. The statement is from Moses, but the narration is from God. Therefore, these are Moses' words, not God's words. And God establishes the truth by his words, even if the criminals dislike it. That is the meaning. God affirms and strengthens the truth with evidence and proofs, even if the disbelievers hate it. It is the same source, Safwat al-Tafasir by al-Sabuni. So, no one believed in Moses except a small group from his people, out of fear of Pharaoh and his chiefs, lest they put them to trial. And indeed, Pharaoh was mighty in the land, and he was truly among the transgressors. The meaning is that no one believed in Moses' prophethood and miracles except for a small group from Pharaoh's people. Why is that? Because they were afraid of him. There are other people who say no. That small group who believed in Moses and his miracles were not from Pharaoh's people at all. So where were they from then? From Moses' own people. As for the rest, who were the majority of Moses' people, they did not believe in him out of fear of Pharaoh and his nobles, that they might turn them away from their religion and torture them. And all of this was because Pharaoh at that time had become tyrannical and excessive in killing, and in injustice and oppression. The source is Majma al-Bayan fi Tafsir al-Quran by al-Tabrisi. The question here is about Pharaoh and his chiefs. So, Pharaoh is singular and his chiefs is plural, and then it says here that he, that is, Pharaoh, might persecute them. So, who does his chiefs refer to? Pharaoh and his chiefs, just as it's stated exactly in the same episode. We'll come across it in verse 88. I'll show it to you, and we'll see it again in a bit. It says Pharaoh and his chiefs. And Moses said, O my people, if you have believed in God, then put your trust in him, if you are truly Muslims. The meaning here is that Moses is telling the believers, if faith has truly entered your hearts, then fear none but God, surrender your affairs to him, and put your trust in him if you are steadfast in Islam. The source here is al-Muntakab fi Tafsir al-Quran by the Committee for the Quran and Sunnah. The question here is, what is the wisdom behind repeating if you are twice in the verse? The point to note here is that it says, and Moses said, which means the statement is from Moses, and the narration is from God. This is Moses' words, not God's words. So they said, in God we put our trust. Our Lord, do not make us a trial for the wrongdoing people. The believers responded to Moses, saying that they put their trust in God alone, and they prayed to their Lord not to make them a source of trial. The source is the same, al-Muqtaza fi Tafsir al-Quran by the Committee of the Quran and Sunnah. The point to note here is that it's their statement, not God's. Meaning, God wouldn't say in God we put our trust. No, it's the believers Moses is addressing who say, in God we put our trust. The statement is from believers, and narration is from God. These are words of people. The words of the believers, the words of humans, not the words of God. God is only narrating, and then, and save us by your mercy from the disbelieving people. The meaning here is that the believers continue their words and pray to their Lord, saying, O Lord, save us with the abundance of your mercy from the people who are, the deniers and the wrongdoers. It's the same source, al-Muqtaza fi Tafsir al-Quran by the Committee of the Quran and Sunnah. Here as well, they continue, and the words are theirs, while the narration is by God, they say, and save us. God would not say, and save us by your mercy. The statement belongs to the human believers in Moses, his miracles, and his prophethood, while the narration is by God. So, these are the words of the believing people, or those who believe in Moses, not the words of God.
And we revealed to Moses and his brother, settle your people in houses in Egypt, and make your houses places of worship, and establish prayer, and give glad tidings to the believers.
The meaning here is that God revealed to Moses and his brother Aaron, telling them, set up houses for your people in Egypt, build houses for your people, or for those who follow you, or for those who believe in Moses' message and his miracles. Build houses for them in Egypt and have them separate themselves from Pharaoh and his chiefs, or Pharaoh and his soldiers. Why? Because Pharaoh increased his torment of those who believed in Moses. So God is telling them, he is commanding them, he says, make these houses places for prayer, so they can pray in them. Why? Because Pharaoh, his soldiers, and his chiefs, that is, his nobles, used to prevent people from worshipping. They would stop them from, praying. The source here is al-Wasit in the interpretation of the Quran by Sheikh Muhammad Sayyid Tantawi. The question here is, why does the text address Pharaoh and his brother in the dual form twice? So look, it says settle, that is, you two, Moses and his brother, since Moses and his brother are a pair. Very good. Here, it tells them, settle you two for your people, you two. Then it goes back to addressing them in the plural 3 times. It says to them, and make, they are still just 2. So who is Moses and his brother addressing in the plural here? Your houses again, it's plural, and establish, not establish, or your 2 houses. Exactly. So what does that mean? What's the wisdom, then, in mentioning Moses and his brother Aaron twice in the dual form and 3 times in the plural? The point being made here is that we revealed that the first person pronoun, God is the one speaking, and the statement is in God's own words. And Moses said, Our Lord, you have given Pharaoh and his chief splendor and wealth in the life of this world, our Lord, so that they may lead people astray from your path. Our Lord, obliterate their wealth and harden their hearts so they will not believe until they see the painful punishment. The meaning here is that Moses said, "Our Lord, you have given Pharaoh money, gold, and silver stretching from Egypt to Abyssinia so that they may lead people astray from your path." And some people say, no, what Moses is saying is that you gave Pharaoh all this money and mountains of gold and silver so that they would not go astray from your path. So punish them, O Lord, for their disbelief, destroy their wealth, and prevent them from believing. The source here is elgendynyc by الكاتوبي. What is the wisdom behind repeating the phrase "Our Lord" 3 times in the verse? The second point, or the second question, says Pharaoh and his chiefs, God, but here it's singular, right? So why was it their chiefs in 83? Here, I brought it for you right here. Here it is, Pharaoh and his chiefs. Perhaps you forgot. So what's the lesson? Here it's Pharaoh and his chief in the singular, and in verse 83 it's Pharaoh and their chiefs. This is for linguists to enlighten us. I'm just trying to learn. The last point is that here, too, the words are spoken by Moses. Pay attention. God willing, it's Moses speaking, saying, "Our Lord, you have given Pharaoh, our Lord, to mislead from your path. Our Lord, reassure their hearts." So the one calling or supplicating is Moses, and the one called upon is God. God isn't the one saying these words. So these are Moses' words, not God's words. And God conveyed Moses' words. Verses in the Quran say, "Your supplication has been answered, so remain steadfast, and do not follow the path of those who do not know." The meaning here is that God is informing Moses and Aaron that he has answered their prayer. Because Moses was praying against Pharaoh, and Aaron would say Amen. So God commanded them to continue praying, calling people to believe in God and forbidding them from following, that is, the polytheists. The source here is Majma al-Bayan fi Tafsir al-Quran by al-Tabrisi. The question here is, God refers to himself in the third person, like when we say Moses said or Pharaoh said. It's also God who says Moses said, Pharaoh said, and God said all three, and we want to understand this. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next episode.